How are you?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the City Commission meeting to order. I'd like to begin with an invocation. We do have with us the newly installed pastor at the historic Second Baptist Church, Missionary Baptist Church of Benton Harbor, Michigan, formerly pastored by Pastor Atkins, Pastor Gavin. Now he assumes that role as the shepherd of that flock, and he's here with us tonight to lead us in the invocation. Please welcome Pastor Robinson.
Let us pray. Gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you now for all the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us thus far. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us from the beginning of the year to this time, present time. We pray now your blessings upon our efforts and that you will help us as we make decisions that are pertinent to the prosperity of this city. Bless our leaders, lead them and guide them every step of the way. This is our prayer in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams.
Present.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Present.
Commissioner Henderson.
Here.
Commissioner Henry.
Present.
Commissioner Isom.
President.
Commissioner Jones.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Speaks. Commissioner Singleton.
Present.
Mayor Muhammad.
Present.
No.
Is there a motion for the approval of the regular minutes of July 15, 2019? Motion is made by Commissioner Adams and is supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Is there a motion for the approval of the special minutes of July 22nd, 2019?
7/22.
That's correct.
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams, supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
I'm sorry. What do we go?
July 22, special minutes.
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Is there a motion for the approval of the special minutes of July 25, 2019?
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams.
Support.
It is supported by Commissioner Singleton. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Is there a motion for the approval of accounts payable listings? The motion is made by Commissioner Harrelson.
Support.
And it is supported by Commissioner Isom. Is there a discussion? Carry none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henry.
No.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
I will be voting no, but can I explain why? I have not up until this point, but I think it's very important that I do. I had some other things that were questionable, but I'll come back to them at a later date with our new city manager for clarity. But I always vote no when the trash contract is up to be paid. And the residents need to know that. Because I did not support it, because it's a conflict of interest for me to do so. And it has been from the very beginning. And I just wanted the record to reflect that. Thank you.
Under those circumstances, Commissioner Adams, you can't abstain. If there's a
Abstain.
Commissioner Harrelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad?
yes.
Motion carried.
We have a special presentation today, smartphone app, and that's that mobility grant that was granted to Dollar Ride through the University of Michigan. We have Representative Dr. Todd Shern, graduate of U of M, professor at Howard University, working with University of Michigan staff and team. We have affectionately known as TJ, is that correct? TJ. TJ, pardon me. What's your last name?
Taylor.
Taylor. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I'm gonna be appropriate and respectful. So. Are we lacking technical?
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the introduction. Thank you, TJ, for being here. I want to report to you on the NSF grants. Many of you know that University of Michigan and the community received a grant of 4 years, and as part of that will be the upcoming NSF app, the kind of app which I've discussed. But the first thing is, so you know what the little technical issue was. These handouts were supposed to be distributed to all of you, and for some reason, that wasn't the case, and so we'll make them available after the meeting for you to view. The app is now available, for those of you who don't know, from the App Store, iPhone, or from Google Play. A lot of people tell me they can't find the buses and they don't know where they are, and then on the other hand, when they go to Atlanta, all this and that, right? When I go to Atlanta, it's this way, but then when I'm in Benton Harbor, all right, well, no. Okay, so from this point on, you call it your iPhone, you call it your Android, and you can go to the iPhone store, the App Store, and download, it's called Double Map, and download it. And what you'll find is an app that will load, and then it'll ask you to select a city. If you have your GPS already on, it will ask you to choose between 2 locations. You guys know you're in Benton Harbor, right? Okay, this is in Notre Dame. So we're using the same system that Notre Dame is using. And so it's going to ask you to choose between Benton Harbor and Notre Dame. All right? What can you do with the app? You can see well, for some of you, let's back up to the basics. Some people want to know where the red route is and where the blue route is. Okay, and so you can just see where the different routes are. But in addition to that, you can see all the stops, and then you can actually click on a stop and see when the bus will arrive at the stop, real time, not according to the schedule, but according to weather conditions, according to the rate of travel of the bus, traffic conditions, and all these things are factored in. In addition to that, for people who are using the on-demand service, when they speak with the dispatcher, they can find out the bus that will pick them up. And then from that point on, they can actually track that bus. You can see it, and you can know when that bus is getting close to your pickup point, and then you can come outside your house when it's close. And so the instructions for using the app are available here, and they're also pretty straightforward. So you can download the app. And I just wanted to bring the interim acting executive director here for a quick comment, and that's it from us.
Thank you. As Todd just explained, this is great progress for us.
we often get many calls. People want to know where are they bus, when it's going to be there. Now you have a chance, if you have a smartphone, as Todd just explained, you could punch on that to the app, and you could actually track that bus, the route of that bus, and basically tell you how long it's going to be to your destination. And exactly, it won't be the times on the bus stop, it'll be the actual time. Because sometimes in the winter time, times they be a little off, the bus is a little slower. This app will tell you exactly how long your bus will be there.
Questions?
Yes, I would just like to ask Mr. Thomas Taylor, Mr. Taylor, who's been with Dollar Ride for how long?
About 38 years.
38 years. So just from a technology standpoint, how does this impact, or what would you say this kind of technology, or what does it bring to Dollar Ride?
It's a great step forward, almost like from Stone Age to now. Before we did everything was by pen, pencil, all cards, calls, everything was done manually. We've actually have a computerized system where the calls come in now. They go to a computer system where dispatch from the computer system. And the technology, what Todd was speaking of, is a great leap forward. This is something they have in the larger cities like Chicago, where there are line haul buses, where you can look out at the airports and see what delay is, how long the plane will be at your destination. Same thing is with the technology. That's not technology we have now. It'll show the consumer exactly where the buses are.
How hands-on or helpful has the University of Michigan been through and in this process?
Very helpful, very helpful. Todd is here quite often. He's available by email to me every day. And U of M, we've actually visited U of M, and they've been very, very helpful.
I have no other questions. Any other commissioners? Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. 30 years, that's a long time, thank you.
You're welcome.
I know that it came to fruition a few years prior to 30.
Yes.
Because I have children that's a little older than that.
Right.
But you carry a lot of the history. Do you guys have something historical put together for Dollar Ride? And if not, would you think about doing that? I had a young lady, I think it was Miss Huddleston, that was there from its inception and asked me some questions prior to that. So you could be a go-to person.
Okay.
That would have a lot of knowledge of the startup of our Dollar Ride.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This brings us to citizens' comments. Please register with the city clerk. She will call you accordingly to the list.
Jackie Davis.
I'd like to present this here to the council. This is what I used when I went to the Out Center and protested. I don't know if y'all know a lot about the Out Center. It's right up here on 132 Water Street, right? Now, our council put an individual on the library board that is the founder of this particular center, the Out Center. And over there at the library, the children are playing Pokemon a lot. And I found out through my research that Pokemon and pedophilia are connected. Now, I found out because these individuals here were in Broadway Park some years back, playing Pokemon in our park, all these Europeans. And so I stopped to ask them what were they doing. They told me they were playing Pokemon. And so from my research, I found out that Pokemon and pedophilia are connected. It's interesting that the library is one of the main things they play at the library, is Pokemon. I don't know whether or not all of us, you all know that, there is truly a connection to Pokemon and pedophilia and what's going on in the city as far as I see it at the outset. Now, also, if you go to the outset, you see the pink and blue colors that they've adopted now. Pink and blue is for transgender. They told us pink and blue is boy and girl, right? When the boy is born, it's blue, and when the girl is born, it's pink. But the outset over there have adopted the pink and blue as transgender colors. So we got transgender folks running around in the luxurious art district now. I suppose that that's all been sanctioned by the council because you voted to put this individual over there that's in charge of the whole art district, Mr. Rich Henson. And there's a connection here. And I'm trying to figure out what's really going on. You know, and as far as the charter, and this here, the city code of ordinance, in section 2622, it says obscene material distribution prohibited. Any person who knowingly either sells, lends, gives away, distributes, shows, or transmutes, or offers either to sell, lend, give away, distribute, show, or transmute, or has in its possession the intent either to sell, lend, give away, distribute, show, or transmute, or advertise in any manner, or who otherwise knowingly offers for either loan, gift, sale, distribution, any obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, or indecent, sadistic, or masochistic book. In other words, these things bring a misdemeanor, but in our city it's acceptable. And I'm hoping that Sister Pastors and maybe the pastor will be able to assist us in Little Sodom and Gomorrah that's on the right here in our district. Because our council decided that they wanted to put this individual over here in the side of the system. All right. I left some more information here for the council. Y'all want to read it. It's called MAPS, or minor attracted person. That's the next thing they're going to go to. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'll bring it, I'll take it up there. They're getting ready to go to drop the word pedophile and use MAPS, minor attracted persons. Y'all know that. What's the sign? Oh, it says teach indigenous youth the whole gay truth. Right.
Roger.
I ain't got 2 bullet points tonight. And I'm gonna get right to it because those minutes go by fast. I want to acknowledge all of my older statesmen in our beautiful community in the tradition of Africanism. Blessings on you, and I appreciate you, older men and women. Real quick. Okay, you said, Rod, you ain't never did nothing real quick. Okay, but tonight I'm gonna do it real quick. First, I want to acknowledge and I want to send out prayers because I know that this session is taped and people hear it from all over the country, probably all over the world. I want to offer my, again, a continued prayers to our victims of violence, senseless violence, and El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio. We know that domestic, we know the mainstream media is finally began to call it what it really is: white domestic terrorism against people of color, where Mexicans were targeted in El Paso, and particularly blacks were targeted in Dayton. The data is alarming, and it's cause for drastic. We know that that's the biggest form of terrorism in this country right now is white supremacist domestic terrorism. So we have to have the backbone to say that. Black folks have to have, and people of color have to have the backbone to say it, but also white folks of goodwill have to have the nerve to say that too. And we have to do it. We have to come together as a country and locally. And I just happen to be God's son and Big Seal and one of his son. And so I'm able to do it. And I'm 52 now, so I understand why people, when they get older, they're bold enough to say about anything they want to say.
Anyway, my time is almost up. I pray also for our local government, elections is tomorrow, and, I wanna say this, I'm gonna go on record, I've talked to several, commissioners and, several people in the community. I wanna go on record as saying, I pray, I never, ever reveal who I'm voting for. But I pray for whoever God's will is to lead our city. I'm confident, I'm saying this right now, I'm confident in any of the candidates. I'm confident in anyone who do a formidable job in helping leading our community. I pray that God would bring unity, because when Mayor, if you will, give me just 30 seconds, please.
Mr. Jenkins.
Usually you give people 30 seconds. Give me 20 seconds. Please. Thank you. Because the fact of the matter is that when the emergency manager left and when we developed some independence, we had a good sense of unity that came into our community and particularly among the commission. I've seen a lot of that glue lead. However it happened, wherever it happened, there's plenty of fingers to be pointed, there's plenty of blame to go around. Nobody's perfect. I'm looking for somebody that's excellent and that is progressive. Now, I ain't looking for perfection, because if you're looking for perfection, you're looking for the wrong thing. But I'm looking for somebody that's formidable, and that whoever is elected, that we rally around them and understand that the messed up climate that we're in as a country and as a city, that we do not, black folks and white folks and of goodwill, and everybody else of goodwill, need not to continue to be disunified. It's time to unify. We should say that, but if we don't unify, we ain't seen the worst of it. We ain't seen nothing yet.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. That brings us to our consent calendar items. Are there any items that should be separated from the consent calendar? Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. Resolution approving subsidiary agreement.
Are there any other? Mr. Manager.
Good evening to everyone. This is my first night, so be gentle. Mr. Mayor and Council, we're going to have a presentation on both items on the Community Development Block Grant Program. And what do you mean by the director?
Point of clarity, Mayor. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem C.
With all due respect, we've had these already done twice. I think it's basically just reading the resolution. Said commissioner wants to separate it with both times. So I think we already did the presentation. I don't know if she's ready to do a presentation tonight, but I would ask that we just not waste 2 minutes to see residents' time. We've done this several times, and we're just going to be doing a presentation on that. We did 2 public hearings, and also we did a presentation twice on it. So I don't know, the said item that was not separated was adopted resolution approving the CDBG for 2019 annual action plan. That was not even a separated item, which we can vote on that without even separation. The separated item was approved adopt resolution for recipient agreement with Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency for the Community Development Block Grant. So we that's the separated item. The second consent calendar item, which we already done. I mean, the first item was not actually separated. tonight is not a night for presentations.
So, the consent calendar item requires, that there be a vote. I'll read the item before the commission. Approval of proposed CDBG 2018 Annual Action Plan. May 2019, United States Department of Housing and Urban Development released the program year 2019 annual award allotment amounts for communities that receive community development block grant entitlement funds. City of Benton Harbor was allocated $421,740.06. Entitlement grantees are required to submit to HUD an annual action plan, a plan for the use of the upcoming program year's funds. While program year 2019 is from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, HUD generally does not disperse the allocated amount to the grantees line of credit until the fall. The COBH has developed a proposed budget for program year 2019 funds. Recommendation that Mayor Muhammad and the Benton City Commission approve the proposed budget for program year 2019 CDBG funds. And I'll read the resolution. Whereas the City of Benton Harbor has received community development block grant entitlement allocations from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for program years 2019 to carry out various community development activities in cooperation with recipients, and whereas for program year 2019 funds and any resulting program income have been approved by grantee for use by the grantee and sub-recipients for the implementation of eligible and fundable community development activities, and whereas the COBH has developed a plan for the spending of program year 2019 CDBG funds as outlined in the annual action plan, and whereas the COBH submitted a public notice of the public participation process for the proposed program year 2019 annual action plan budget in the Herald Palladium newspaper on June 2nd, 2019 and June 30th, 2019. And whereas the COBH held public hearings on the proposed program year 2018 annual action plan budget on June 13, 2019 and June 24, 2019. And whereas the COBH observed a 30-day public comment period from June 20, 2019 through July 20, 2019. Whereas the COBH did not receive any written comments, and therefore be it resolved that Mayor Muhammad and the Benton City Commission approve the proposed budget year 2019 annual action plan budget, and therefore be it further resolved that the community and economic development staff is authorized to carry out activities as set forth in the city's program year 2019 annual action plan.
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams, and it is supported by Commissioner Isom. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson. Yes. Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams, Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to the separated item, which is adopt a resolution approving the sub-recipient agreement with the Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency for the Community Development Block Grant. Is there a motion for approval? Motion is made by Commissioner Adams, and it is supported by Mayor Pro Tem Seats. Discussion. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Just quickly, I'd like to know if any of my colleagues have read this agreement in its entirety. And the reason I ask is because we went through both processes, and we, including the committee, have yet to have the recipients come before us to answer any questions. Because this agreement is not with our Community Economic Development Director. It's with the sub-recipient of Southwestern Action Agency. And if there are questions, they should be in front of us to answer them, whether it's at this meeting or the commission meeting, the committee meeting.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. This is fully vetted our meeting, and we don't have the capability or the capacity to do what needs to be done at that time. I think they did a stellar job of getting the people they had to get done. Mr. or Hood actually interviewed them, interrogated them to make sure they were doing a fine job, basically down to the gnat or the dime or the penny, whatever you want to call it. And they did a stellar job of getting the residents done. I think it would be insulting to have people receive money from the community just to come to the city, sign the list. I don't think they wanted to be in public. If they wanted to be in public, they would have came before us and asked us, but they got it done, and I want to commend our Community Economic Development Director for working with them to make sure that they allocated every dollar to what the dollar was supposed to be. You know, nobody walked away with money. Nobody can steal the money because it wasn't enough money. You know, we're trying to pose a little bit of somebody finagling or stealing. Nobody did nothing wrong with that. We actually did a stellar job, and I'm on record because I was the first one to fight to say, don't give it to them. But I'm the next one to say, if you did right by the city, you did right by the residents, then you deserve to be saluted. And they did an excellent job with their reporting, with where they put the money, and finally getting people houses rehab. For years, we never had rehabilitation in the community. I know that sounds foreign to some, but we never had for about 7 years. Nobody's house is getting fixed. So now the house is getting fixed, and we're gonna say, well, we need to interrogate them. No, come on, sit down. Let's deal with what's right. And what's right is Community Action Agency, along with our Community Economic Development Department, did a stellar job this time, utilizing the money, and Hood said the same thing. This is the same Hood that was ready to take the money if we didn't spend it. Let's say that. Hood was ready to come confiscate the money if we didn't spend it. That's not a lie. So the greatest information that we give out here is misinformation. And if you keep giving misinformation, then you have people out here.
Point of order.
What do you mean? I'm telling the truth. You don't like that? Thank you. Go ahead, Honorable.
Motion to table.
No. What?
I will say that this is time sensitive. It has gone through, as I read, all of the legal requirements that's necessary in order for this to be legally approved by the federal government. We do have a timeline where if it's not approved by the city council, then we lose the money.
Honorable Mayor.
I mean, I do
Honorable
have,
Mayor.
I'm gonna come back to you,
Okay,
Commissioner,
no, we just approved that.
but this is connected to it. I mean, we just gotta be
It's only
open-minded.
It's only connected.
It's connected. No, it's connected. Like a seed is connected to water. You can't approve one without approving the other. And I'm saying that respectively, but I will say this. You know, we had over $1 million that had to be spent. We spent over $238,000 on home repairs. And I visited some of those homes and talked to some of those homeowners, And as the Mayor Pro Tem stated, and we all know this, that there still is a waiting list. And there had been a longer waiting list prior to us going into this agreement, which we all approved with Southwest Community Action Agency.
I just think it's good business.
So, and they spent $50,000 in repairs on about three different homes, roof repairs, facade repairs, and the residents are happy. And I'm looking at the annual action plan for 2019, where we have $87,000, $125,000, which would go to provide 2 whole houses and rehabilitation, 2 emergency repair loans to low to moderate income households. So that takes a couple more houses off of the list. I'm also looking at the $95,000 that's going to be used. The city will use CDBG funds as a leverage for funds levied through recently enacted citywide income tax to replace local sidewalks. So now that we can match, we can use CDBG dollars to help in that effort as well. And Lord knows we need our sidewalks as well as our streets addressed. You know, it's good to see a warm body, but I think that their work, you know, speaks for itself. And in the interest of time, you know, I would urge this body to move forward so we can continue to help residents with the community development block grant dollars and not put at risk or compromise our funding, and then the community loses.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes, ma'am.
Just for the record, I'm aware of the job they did. I happened to have a lady at Shampoo Bowl whose house they had just left.
Excellent.
And she spoke very highly of them. I'm not questioning their work, but something within this document states that reimbursement for a payment if they have to travel outside the area. For what need? Everybody's in Benton Harbor. There are some questions that they need to be before us to answer. And I just think that that's good practice when people are doing business with you. And if you've ever owned one, you would know.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I did follow this from its conception of going through the committees and then noticing also that there's a $18,000 some payment to use them. We didn't have the capacity to do it, and just like the Mayor Pro Tem, I mean, he didn't agree with it, doing it before, and that's just an example of saying, you know, giving them a chance, you know, to see if they can do it, because we didn't have capacity, and they did do a good job. The agreement is up in 2020. You know, maybe we will have by then have a capacity to do it ourselves. So, for the sake of time, I think we need to go ahead and do it too.
The chair recognizes Commissioner Harrelson. Pardon me. Chair recognizes Commissioner Hager.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we did talk about this, and last year we didn't like the idea, and it did prove to be somewhat successful. But I'll say that any time that we get in the practice of outsourcing, we're in trouble. Now, this company is in the business. They actually do the same thing that we're doing. So my problem with it is outsourcing it. And then I hear you say that 2020, it'll be over with. Maybe we'll have groomed us a local organization to do it. But right now, I'm gonna have to vote yes for it. But the only reason I'm doing it is because it's a short-term arrangement. And I want to do something better the next time. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd just like to say a couple, I went to one of the presentations that was done with the Economic Development Director, and actually one of my concerns was local contractors getting an opportunity to participate in the process. And so I went to her and I asked, how many local contractors have actually got a chance to do any work through the Community Action Agency? And to my surprise, that was one of her questions and one of the things they wanted to make sure was happening as well. And she was very diligent in making sure that local people got an opportunity to participate if they wanted to. And so I will support this because it is something that needs to continue. People who have gotten their homes and stuff redone have been happy about that. And so I think has been a good process. Community Action Agency is a local agency. And the thing that we can do as an organization is making sure that they're upholding what we want to have done and making sure that our local contractors and people that live locally get an opportunity to participate. And so that is something that's happening, and it is a program that we should support. Thank you.
Thank you, and I do agree with my third ward commissioner in that as much as that we can do in-house, and I think that hopefully in the future we can build our capacity up. As much as I would like to cut my own hair, the little that I have, when I go to the barber, I am outsourcing. So, for the best interest of how I want to look. So,
Just say,
yes,
one thing.
Commissioner.
I just want to say to the residents, what you just observed was an opportunity for everybody else to give input on how we function as a body. And that's the way it's supposed to work, to be able to debate things and make an informed decision as to which route we're actually going to take. We call for the question.
The pro temp has this.
Hey, man, just for a point of clarity. Anytime you see anybody working,
Point of order, when somebody calls for the question, you have to go for the question. Point of order. You call for the question.
nobody
He called for a
supported,
question.
nobody supported that. Thank you.
You didn't give us a chance to. I would have gladly.
You would have?
Point of order, according to Robert's Rules of Order, when somebody calls for the question,
The
and
question
somebody
is
seconds
asked.
it, then you have to go for that vote. Nobody else.
That's not Robert's Rules of Order.
I'm telling
We
you,
are tonight.
that was.
That's not Robert's Rules of Order.
Point of order. The order was.
Not Robert's Rules of Order. So
Until the debate.
Google it. And you'll tell
I'm telling you.
it don't mean that.
I hate
It does not mean that.
Point of order, pro temp, please,
I second it.
please,
Agree or not. that's how
finish
it's
your
supposed to be.
comments.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. The truth is, anytime somebody has the ability to come into community work, there's people come from our community to ask them for work. And I found out that another young man has been working with this said contractor now in and out of this area. So it provides the opportunity for work. And if a local gets hired, that's all the better. I don't know what's going on tonight, but whatever it is, I see you at the polls tomorrow.
The question has been called.
Commissioner Henderson? Yes.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad?
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to staff comments. Like to recognize our Public Safety Director, Mr. McGinnis.
Good evening, Mayor, Honorable Commission. Took me off, I need like a second. We got a busy week coming up this week. Excuse me, I'm not bumbling. Tomorrow is our 4th annual joint national night out with Benton Township. Benton Harbor, Benton Township. We'll be right out here in the city center, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Every year we give away backpacks. This year we're giving away 600 free backpacks to the first children that come and get them. Again, we'll be making hundreds and hundreds of snow cones. When we first started, the first year we made 300, the next year we made 600, last year we made 812. So, and not everyone got a snow cone, so we have grown to be about 1,000 in just 3 years. We're looking to be about 1,200 tomorrow, Lord willing. That's going on. Also, I'd like to let everybody know that I got my wish this year, and we're going to have a dunk tank, and I personally will be in there. So I have our first annual Dunk the Director. So you can come if your arm is good enough, accurate enough. I'm going to be talking mad stuff, so make sure you hit it. So I'll be there for that. We're going to enjoy ourselves with the kids. Rough Riders one of our sponsors, will be providing for the food. And we also will have a honor some veterans. So that's going to be tomorrow, 5 to 8. I'd like to see you there. Next, our tire collection started. We had a hiccup last week. We expected the trailer to be delivered at a certain time. It wasn't. So we had to improvise, adapt, overcome. We did that. We collected thus far about 300 tires, really with no effort. So we're going to continue that. They wanted to drop the trailer tomorrow, which of course they could not. Election day, next night out. We'll be back Thursday, so we'll be running that throughout the week, and we will continue with that. Friday, one of our outreach efforts one of our community partners with the Boys and Girls Club, we have the second annual Peace Walk Against Gun Violence, and that will start at the Boys and Girls Club. Again, this is the second year. We did last year. It will be from 3 to 6, and the itinerary will be meet at the Boys and Girls Club, the Pee Wee Center, the Little Kid Center there on 8 Wells, 3 o'clock. We're going to walk from there down to City Hall. There's going to be a small speech on gun violence. From there, we're going to walk up to Hall Park, where there will be a picnic and a basketball game with some kids and their staff. So we ask that you come out and support that, especially since we've seen gun violence not only here but across the country. This is a great event. We had about 200 people last year. We're expecting at least the same this year. That's that. We continue to push our tip 411 for residents to give tips. We have flyers. That's going very, very well. We caught some people last week with dumpers, some other things. So if you don't have the app, here's a flyer to tell you how to do that in your app store. Benton Harbor DPS is the app for either Google, Android, or iPhone. Last thing, summertime, we'll have the extra patrols. The state police will be in Marion County to help out in the summer months. One of the things that I'm happy to announce from his mouth to our ears, the new city manager, state police have agreed to a no chase policy on anything that's not a dangerous felony. So we finally got that going. I'm happy about that. He said that to myself and the city manager, so I believe that will be the case. And they also agreed to stop and be friendly and not so much try to give everyone tickets that they see. We told them that doesn't work for us. They won't want that. So that's what we have so far. I'm always available again. If anybody comes in my department asking me, they will see me if I'm available. So thank you, Commissioner, Honorable Mayor.
Thank you, sir. The chair recognizes our city assessor, Mr. Story.
Thank you. I don't have anything to report tonight.
Thank you. The chair recognizes our city attorney, Attorney Rapp.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to kind of tie on to Director McGinnis and state that it's important in cleaning up the city that we have the citizens and residents please call and report when I prosecute illegal dumping, littering. It's really important that we have witnesses and calling in and just being there for the city. And that's one of the ways that I know Director McGinnis and the commission are trying to clean up the tires and the trash that I know Director McGinnis and I drive around the city, and it's disheartening. And I think the more involvement we have, and I think there's some cameras going up now, and I hope those are going to lead to a lot of arrests and convictions.
Chair recognizes our Economic Development Director, Mr. Jennings.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission. The month of July was very busy for the Community and Economic Development Department. We did have program monitoring, environmental monitoring on July 15th through 19th, and program monitoring on July 22nd through 26th, where HUD field reps from Detroit were in our office the entire week, auditing files, speaking to subrecipients, viewing project sites, and doing checks to ensure that we were in compliance with our files. They have 60 days to submit their letter of report to us regarding our successes and deficiencies. And so we're anticipating mid-September that we will get those letters from them and then begin the work of improving our programs. Additionally, the department did attend an environmental training in Detroit, July 30th through August 1st, and got a chance to look at the code of regulations in an even more in-depth manner and those updates that have occurred over the past program year. Thank you so much for your approval tonight. We now do have the green light to go ahead and submit that annual action plan, which the deadline for that is the 16th of this month. So it will be done well prior to that. Thank you.
The chair recognizes the city clerk.
Election notice here. To the qualified electors of the city of Benton Harbor, please take notice that a primary election will be held in the city of Benton Harbor within the county of Berrien, state of Michigan, on Tuesday, August 6th, for the purpose of electing candidates for the following office: mayor, 4-year term expiring December 31st, 2023. The following polling locations will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Ward 1, the library at the Benton Harbor High School. Ward 2, Martin Luther King School. Ward 3, room 106 at Benton Harbor High School. And Ward 4, Business Growth Center at 200 Pawpaw. Please take notice that any qualified elector of the city of Benton Harbor who is not already registered may vote in person with proof of residency at the city clerk's office located at 200 East Wall Street, Benton Harbor, on election day, Tuesday, August 6, 2019, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Persons with special needs as defined by the Americans with Disabilities Act should contact the clerk's office. To comply with the Help America Vote Act, voting instructions will be available in audio format and in braille.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the city manager, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of the commission. I want to thank you for doing the presentation for her so that the citizens could hear exactly about the community development block grant. Because no matter how many times it's heard, we really need to keep listening because things change. And not only that, I want to say this to you. These staff people are here to do a job, and they are ready to do that job, and I'm going to let them do the job. I'm not going to be talking for them. And I want them to perform, and I want you to see them perform.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. The chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Watch out what I say. It's thin skin tonight, so I know we got election tomorrow, but just want to commend the Public Safety Department for definitely letting the state police know that we do have a no chase policy. We've had that for years, and there's been several complaints that called me about different agencies flying through town. We lost a couple of people from other agencies flying through town, so I'm glad that they will be recognizing that, and hopefully we can save some lives. On that note, with the shooting that we had, we recently lost lives. That's definitely a hard thing and emotional thing. As a police officer, that was one of the worst things to do, to have to go tell a mother, that your son had been killed, and just to hear that cry, it's just, something that you never forget. But I think moving forward that, we, including myself, as men in this community, gonna have to do a lot better and put differences aside and stand together to start trying to make
some type of difference in reaching our kids, back to that community thing where, everybody looked out. We need to be able to, if parents need some type of assistance or something, or, not single parent homes where guys get together, even if we had to go and knock on the door and talk with them, and if they would allow us to search their rooms and, find these guns, do, weapons or something. But I know the police have to follow certain guidelines, but, as citizens, we could do something different, and as men of the community to, assist in that effort. Maybe we can stop some of this violence before it even happened. So there's some things that we can do. Hopefully, that dialogue be coming forth, real soon, and we can get something done. So it's time out for the this group here, that group there, when it comes to saving our kids. So, looking forward to doing something. Like I said, I know this is that election time, but that's stuff is really, when it comes to saving some lives and helping our kids, it meant that, compared to using that, compared to a seat, I'd rather save a kid, I'd rather save a life, so my focus would be on that, as we continue this campaign thing, but I won't let that get in the way of doing what I can to help save kids' life.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Rice.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I thank the citizens coming out tonight. Mr. Taylor, Mr. Shern, for sharing the app with us to, better help the community and the riders to move forward in that. We all just got to come together, and start up here too. That's what it's all about. Us as a Black community, we need, just if we can work together, just come together on a common ground, the power that we can have to move this city even further to go. With all this gun violence, shooting, and people just, unity, respect. But we need each other. In Harvard, we need each other. God bless you. God bless you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. Thank the residents for coming out, taking time out of your busy schedule. See what's happening in your city and how it's affecting you. My heart is just torn every time I hear the incident and every time one happens, because I'm one of those mothers. Twice. One incident, twice. I mean, it's just devastating, but my heart just bleeds for the mothers and the family members that are in mourning, because I'm mourning with them. And I want to thank you, Commissioner, for what you just said about us coming together. I was trying to follow what Captain Turner told me to do by taking notes. I'm going to see if I can follow at least some of it. One, welcoming our new city manager. There's so many things that I want to touch base on, but nothing is more important than what I heard on the news this morning. So I'm gonna go off script. And that's with the school. I had the opportunity to speak to the gentleman. He happened to come by my shop, and it was a pleasure, and I'm sure he made a lot of stops to find out what's going on in the community. Now, it's only been probably every bit of 15 years, and we're that light years behind. And it didn't surprise me when what happened with our school. The threat of anyway. Because I tried to prep, or at least the power that's greater than me tried to use me to prep us. And I went on a trip and I brought this knowledge back here, and somebody else is taking bits and pieces of it and using it. But it just happens to be Manchester Bidwell. Yep, I'm going to keep coming back to it. We have a paid trip waiting for us to come out there. This is a big source that not only our children need, but some of their parents. Some of their parents that never went to school, never had thought of even going to college, but to earn and learn some type of trade or get on a career path. And if you don't introduce a mind to something, it knows nothing. And we're perishing for lack of knowledge. There's money that's been set aside for us to take this trip. I haven't heard from but 2 commissioners, and we really need to make this trip. The Brownfield Authority Board went into a development agreement with the Fidelity building, was one development. And they have been holding over capturing tax dollars that amounted up to $100-some thousand that would have paid for the feasibility study that needed to be done. Now, it's a whole lot of sidewalks being done, but not up within the community. And we're not going to keep using sidewalks as an excuse. Now, when we sell Paw, I hope that we can utilize some of this money to pay for what needs to be done, because our children are not only looking at the school board leaders, but they're looking at us as well to do something. And this is one way that we can truly give back, since they got to be forced to bathe and drink water that's no good for your health, that we should be setting water rates on but can't afford to. We can't even afford to provide them with water. We should be able to, though. I mean, there's just a whole lot going on, and it's just ridiculous. I requested our last city manager, please send a letter to may I get 30 seconds, to send a letter to forgive or extend our water bond payment for that plant setting out there, to extend the year so that we can have more operational money within our general fund. The answer was always no. Can I see the letter? I'm still waiting. If we were denied, I'm still waiting to see this letter that we were denied, that we can't get an extension on these millions of dollars that we are forced to pay back for water that's no good. And yet we're still having to incur costs. Make it make sense. Leave.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Harris.
Thank you, Your Honorable Mayor. I'd just like to thank the citizens for coming out, seeing your government in action on tonight. I just, my heart goes out for the one that was in the accident and the one that was shot on last week. I fear for our young people. And I wonder, I have a problem with where are they getting their guns from? And people said they're getting them off the street, but somebody has to bring them to the street. And there is a problem here in Benton Harbor. We need to find a way to try to protect our young people. And I think one of the ways is do something about the curfew. Make sure the young people is in at a decent time. And that would start a point. But my heart goes out to the families, because no one wants to see their kids just shot down and their family is grieving. And I think the commissioners need to be more alert on what's going on around our area and report that. And I agree with some of what my colleagues been saying on tonight, but we have to do something ourselves to help prevent some of the tragedy and some of the incidents that's going on in our city. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the citizens for coming out tonight. And I want to say that today is a new day for Benton Harbor. Yeah, we do have a lot of social problems. And I believe that the gun violence and all the drug dealing and all of those are social problems. And how do we fix it? By giving training, good jobs. I guarantee you that none of those people would have been shooting at each other if they had a pocket full of money and a chicken and a pair of new shoes in it. So somewhere along the line, and I've heard other governments say that that's not what government does. But Benton Harbor is a home rule community. We can sustain ourselves. We have to be sustainable. And we need to put things in place to take care of the residents. So when you hear me say city resources for city residents, I mean it. And I'm going to encourage my colleagues to keep that as our priority. So you might hear that we're not together, but I beg your pardon, we are together. Some of us are. And after this election, we're going to be a tighter group. So thank you. Come out to vote. Take someone with you to vote. And know who you're voting for. If you don't get a good candidate, recall us. Get us out. Don't wait, because we're already in a crisis. And we don't need anybody here that's pushing against the residents' quality of life. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Jones.
True enough, we've been experiencing tragedies all across the nation, especially here in our backyard. Very sad that we had to experience that. I had out of place pleasure of getting a phone call from somebody off the commission, alert to what was going on in the city at the time. I have not had that done ever since I've been on the commission. I appreciate that. But here's the thing. We've been having an eventful past couple of weeks, and the big talk about lawsuits, the word that was used during that time was passion. And as I sat there, like every other word that been used during this commission being misused, I'm like, if we had that passion to curb the violence, to stick together, to build the city up, where would we be? I'm like, I'm passionate about this. And I've seen citizens come through here complaining about being harassed, being unjustly, I don't know, all types of things. And we just sit and laugh and giggle. And yeah, I'm gonna say it again, myself. And I sit and watch laughter and giggles. But if it happened in your own backyard, you would try to get me and the rest of the commission come back and rally with a press conference to say injustice been placed upon your home, and it's not right. We've been sitting here talking about lawsuits, coercing people to file a lawsuit if they didn't get their way. All right, to the point where it was to era of extortion or blackmail. Hell, I was hit with a slanderous comment. Now, I will say this, I did receive an apology later on, but the damage was already done. You have plenty of time to think about it before your mouth will. So if we're so worried about lawsuits, don't you know slander is a lawsuit if it took flight and milled throughout the city as if we had the same slanderous comments about the interim city manager and found out it was the wrong person. We keep doing this over and over. And it's so funny, if you really understood those words, we wouldn't be using coup d'etat or anything else, because it's all misappropriated and it's all stirring a bunch of fear in people. And you're taking advantage of their miseducation and them not knowing that you're not educated yourself. The passion was so strong in here, I wondered if it was a commonly shared phallus of a trifecta. It disturbed the heck out of me in here. I don't care for the votes. All right. There was mention of the proverbial buried bodies to be uncovered. Nobody's going to support you if you support this action. I'm not worried about that. I wasn't worried about that before. And just to do a little bit of housekeeping, where that's going into, it was said in an interview that I benefited from leadership, from individual leadership. I bit my tongue because I didn't want to fall into the trap that they was trying to put us in. But I will clear that up now. Only one person spoke up on my behalf when I was appointed, and that was during the time of the previous mayor, and was under the RTAP. And that person mentioned the fact that I was the only one that showed up twice for that position, where nobody else showed any interest, right? After that, I was left to my own devices. I wasn't clicked up with anybody. When I became elected, Second Ward Commissioner, I was left out to hang on my own, 30 seconds. And somehow I prevailed with the help of those I came in contact with. I got a chance to meet those people on my ward, which hasn't been done in ages. And they appreciated that. I heard their concerns, and I've been trying to voice out the concerns for the longest. So I'm basically saying, I wish you well tomorrow, wish the other mayoral candidates well, but I'm also saying that I don't necessarily need the backing of those that claim they will not support me, because they wasn't there in the first place. All right? Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like to say thank you to everyone who came out tonight. I'd like to thank Mr. Sherman and Mr. Taylor for the presentation. I think that's a great addition to the city, along with the bus stops and stuff that you created, so thank you for that. I'd just like to say, as a former athlete, me and my coaches will say, there is no, if we win, we all win. If we lose, we all lose. Mr. Jennings, when he came up to speak, he talked about something that was important, which is unity. The only reason that the city of Benton Harbor made news about switching candidates or switching city managers was because it was the city of Benton Harbor. St. Joe did it, and there was not an issue. There was not even talk about it. The only reason it made news was because it was the city of Benton Harbor. And people stoking fear about this city not knowing what it's doing or how it's doing, and to create fear among the people and to create instability for people to say that we can't govern ourselves. And what I know is great leaders know how to unify. Every great leader around the country, around the United States, they know how to unify people, regardless of what end that they stand on, whether you win or whether you lose. Great leaders know how to unify around mess, to help to close the divide of division. Because what division shows is confusion and every other evil work. And so great leaders know how to unify. And I will say to anybody vying for the candidacy of mayor, one thing that you have to know how to do is how to unify our community. Our community has to be unified. Together, we win. Together, we're strong. There's no I in team. Regardless of what has been accomplished, there's never an I in team. It's always a we. Always a we. So for every candidate and everybody that's running for office, make sure you understand that there is a we component. There is never an I. I've never won a basketball game by myself as a forward. I've never run a track meet by myself. I've won individual events, but I've never won a track meet by myself because we need a team. And so whether we win or lose or we in the minority, we have a responsibility to unify. So I will say to this commission, continue to unify. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Church, amen.
Amen.
Jesus prayed 3 times that we all come together, and it still seems like it's a problem. I would say I want to thank Commissioner Jones for giving me that. He didn't have to say that. I think I was the only commissioner that spoke up for him. And I want to thank you for saying that because this is for the record. I want to say also to our new city manager, welcome aboard. You know, it was hamstrung. I heard some good things about him. One thing I heard about City Manager Mitchell is that he's totally against medical marijuana and marijuana being in Benton Harbor. So I welcome you aboard, and I'm thankful that, you know, we know what we were doing when we brought you on. And he can speak to that himself if you want to. I want to thank our commissioners. No, it's true. I'm not just gonna lie. I only speak to what I hear. So if the young man said it, the young man said it. Can I get some more time, Honorable Mayor? Thank you. I want the City Manager Mitchell, if you would, do a state of the city or a city address or public hearing. He will speak on the water because here the water is contaminated and the kids bathing and we can't drink it. I want to know everything that's going on because if we're paying for water that's contaminated and sickening, then we need to hear that. I mean, it's not fair to city residents to be drinking and paying for water that's sickly and can cause disease and lead contamination that hurt, same as Flint. I would ask them to do that. And I'm serious when I say that because I don't have to act, nobody has to ask me to do something for the community. I've been doing it even before I got this seat. So if you just ready to do something for the people when you get this seat, then you're in the wrong business anyway. You should have been doing something for the people before you got here. So I'm grateful for where we're going. Again, I say tomorrow, some people are not fit, and I'm gonna say this publicly, to hold public office. We need to begin to find people who are fit to represent. Like it or not, it's just the truth. When you have people who are running unopposed in seats who don't know where they live, where they come from. We've had so much different things happening. We said we're for the community and we want to have something better for the community. The only position that's being ran for right now from everybody is mayor. The mayor is one vote. Mayor is one position. You have board commissioner seats that are going unopposed, that nobody wants. So when we talk, we say anything we want to say. Well, facts speak for what they want to speak for.
I know.
And the truth is,
Point of order, please.
the truth is, the reason why you get what you get, and you get what you get. If I wouldn't go drink no water, don't crush no ice, and nothing else. I just heard what I heard today. I wouldn't saturate no marijuana, saturate a plant or nothing else if I heard what I heard today. The greatest information that we give is misinformation. None of this stuff is in black and white, it's all speculation. And then when you do give people black and white information, they don't like it because they don't know how to read it or interpret it. So they think you're doing something wrong to them because you give them the facts. So, I mean, take it how you want it. Y'all been drinking this water till today. Ain't none of y'all falling out. Y'all been washing up in this water today. Ain't none of y'all breaking out. I mean, y'all got some kind of disease from drinking. Washing in the water. I mean, you're washing your clothes turn color. It's rhetoric. So, Honorable Mayor, I will say this, and I'll say it to anybody. Don't just go to the poll by yourself. Bring somebody with you. Take your family with you. Let this be one of the greatest elections ever, because right now, nobody in the Republican Party respects any of us, and that's a shame. When the Republican Party does not put one sign in Benton Harbor, nor put a billboard up in Benton Harbor, but yet they continue to win every election. So the greatest room for improvement is in our city, because we can take election if we all vote. But the more we stay home, the more toxic legislation gets passed on the head of your people. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'd like to thank all the residents for coming out. I would like to welcome the interim city manager, Mr. Ellis Mitchell, to your first meeting. And I'll just say welcome back. I'd like to thank the presenters, Dr. Shern, along with our director of the Takala, pardon me, for your presentation. TJ.
Yes.
I think it's great for Dollaride. I think that the partnership with University of Michigan is excellent. Some really didn't know what it was about or going on, but I think it's showing that when we have good partnerships, the residents and the people, they benefit. J. Edgar Hoover, who was the director of the FBI for over 40 years, the FBI building in Washington, D.C. is named after him. He said the number one threat to the national security of the United States, he said, was Negro unity. So although we can sit here and talk unity and how great unity is, there are forces from within and from without that have a vested interest in keeping the city council divided, to keep the city council discombobulated, arguing, fighting on YouTube before the world. And I will say this, that these meetings set the tone for the culture and climate in the community. So if they see us on YouTube in a government setting, interrupting each other, disrespecting each other, one-upping one another, then what type of message are we sending to the community as it relates to a leadership? There are principles of unity. Respect is one. We can have no unity if there's no respect. So as Commissioner Henderson stated, though we may disagree, we may have differences of opinion, but once we lose respect for one another, then there can be no unity. So if we truly want unity, let's try one of the first principles of unity, which is respecting one another. I'd like to extend my condolences on behalf of the city to those who have suffered loss. It's been a tragedy striking our community. I'd like to just, a couple scriptures before we leave. One says, my people are destroyed from the lack of knowledge. But the second part, a lot of times we don't read it. It says, because they rejected it. So there's a responsibility. I'm just talking about with the Bible. You can argue with that. But they rejected it. So there's a responsibility on the people. Another place it says, again, if my people are called by my name and will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked way. So I think it was the theme for the Million Man March, which was the greatest sign of unity in the history of our sojourn in America. So I love the sound of unity. And the good thing about elections, which that's the buzzword tonight, is at the end of the day, God will have the last say. I'd like to entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Support. We gotta vote.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem C,
Yes.
What time is it?
Yes.